Hello, everybody. Welcome back to this week's edition of Terrace Talk. A different one for you this week. We're in person. Delighted to be joined by my good friend Ben, a Wigan fan based in Norwich. And we're going to talk the game at the DW coming up this Saturday. Norwich City, obviously, at the back of a very good result last night, a 3-1 victory against Hull. We are pre-recording this before Wigan's fixture against Bristol City this evening. So, just to note that. To start, though, Ben, I just want to talk about the season so far. We spoke back in August. It was the first away game for you guys, first home game for Norwich. Different managers in the dugout at that point. You had Liam Richardson. Obviously, Norwich had Dean Smith. There was a lot of kind of expectation, I think, for Norwich in their season. And Wigan, obviously, were looking for probably survival. It was the primary aim. So just looking at the table at the moment, you're 22nd, but still very much within touching distance of sort of you staying up. So, just want to get the thoughts on the season so far.
Well, it's been a roller coaster. We predicted that. I think it's. I don't even know where to start. I'll be frankly honest with you. Start of the season, it looks solid, picking up some points here and there, and you think actually maybe this season is going to be better than we predicted. Survival was the key, but maybe we can go one step further and maybe try our luck a bit. Then we just hit a dodgy patch. Well, that's being nice. And then, last two games, new manager for the third manager of the season, and he seemed to galvanise the team, got them playing a bit, and survival is all what matters now. Yeah,
just looking at your sort of form. The first 8 games of the season look relatively positive. 3 wins, 4 draws, only 1 defeat. That quite heavy defeat against Burnley, but otherwise a very good run there. Then you sort of had that period just before November where you sacked Liam Richardson, you appoint Kolo Toure, and looking in, that looked like a very bad appointment. So I suppose, what was that spell like?
I don't know where to start. It was quite painful. I think the 4 batterings just after Christmas, the Boxing Day, Middlesbrough away, and then 2 home games with Hull and Sunderland. The belief had gone both on the pitch, in the dressing room, in the stands. There was a lot of negativity, and rightly so. Like Wigan, you're meant to be a tough team to play against, whether it's League One, Championship, Premiership in the past. But it was a walkover. Teams who had been struggling themselves would come to Wigan and run riot, and it was embarrassing, really. But I think the change was needed. And it came at the right time. We've now got enough time to try and sort the season out now.
Yeah, obviously you've just appointed Sean Maloney, former Belgian assistant, was also at Heberdean at one point. So sort of had a recently, spell in terms of, returning back to Wigan, former player as well. So well-liked character. What's changed? You've got 4 points from the last 2 games and a massive win the other night against Huddersfield, which was crucial in terms of, sort of this relegation battle that you're facing at the moment at the bottom. So, just sort of what's the feeling around, his appointment and what's been the upturn of form been like?
I'd say when the appointment was announced, it was a very 50-50 split from the fan base of, I think a lot of people wanted an experienced name, which is fair. A lot of clubs this season have gone that way, gone down that route. I was one of them, which I was a bit sceptical. I wasn't sure, unproven in that league. But I suppose, he knows the club more than anyone. He's a club idol, an icon, especially from the FA Cup win, his corner. And I think he just brought a bit of belief to the players and the fans now. And I just wish him all the best now.
Yeah, sort of the key seems to be probably turning around the home form. You're currently bottom of the home form table, just 3 wins, 3 draws, and 10 defeats at the DW Stadium this season. So Norwich obviously making the trip up there this Saturday. Maybe what's been the issues in terms of at home? Has it sort of been maybe a lack of crowd where on the road you're getting better followings, or has there sort of maybe just been a difficulty in making the DW a fortress?
I think it's a factor of the two. I think having... still probably you could argue it's still a rugby town, but I think that the lack of support there might play a factor on the pitch. Away fans wise, it's always been noisy wherever they go. Wigan have always been renowned for their small following away, but this season they've done themselves proud. I think it is just trying to make it difficult for teams to come to the DW again, which it was back before, but that has been the issue. I think just been too easy to play against, far too easy.
Yeah, we spoke at the start of the season. The expectation was sort of just survival. So you're currently obviously within touching distance. So do you believe that you can survive this season, or maybe is there a little bit sort of in the back of your mind that thinks it's going to be difficult?
I know what my heart says, but I think my head, it's still concerning. There's still a tough run of games to go, and all you need to now do is go on a dodgy run for 3-4 games, and you're playing catch up again. And we've got ourselves into touching distance of those teams around us, but yeah, I think we'll see. And Norwich, you look at that game and think it's going to be a tough one. Then Preston away, you go into March, and if Burnley is early March, I really don't know. I just keep my fingers crossed. That's what I've got to do.
Yeah, who's maybe the key man to watch out for from the Wigan perspective? You've got a few good players in there, sort of in the attacking forward areas. Keane's sort of been a regular goal scorer this season for you. Obviously, Callum Lang's one that's caught the eye in previous seasons. So, yeah, maybe who's the man to look out for on Saturday?
I don't know if that was a pun when you said who's. He's been a very, very good player recently. He's only 18 years of age at the back, and he's partnered up with Watmore's now signed a new contract. So I think that might be a sort of stable defence which they're trying to build for the future, Charlie Hughes and Watmore, just to get a bit of stability back, because they've been leaking goals under Colo Toure. I think Maloney's trying to sort the defence out first and see what we can get up front. I think Keane will be a threat in play and on set piece. I think he scored 10 goals this season. We haven't scored many, but we've relied a lot on his equalisers or winners. But yeah, I mean, this new lad, Christ Teehee in midfield, he's been running the show for the last 2 games. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, one player you recently signed who won't be eligible for this weekend is a certain Danel Sinani, signed on loan from Norwich, a player that maybe struggled to really hit the heights in a yellow shirt in the first half of the season, and out of contract as well in the summer. So it looks like he's probably played his last game at Carrow Road, but you've sort of been to one of the more recent games away at Blackburn. Yeah. What did you make of him in that game? He's been subbed off so far in both the games.
He's got energy. He's lively. We didn't really get to see much of a final product. It was a very, I wouldn't say scrappy game, but not many chances. It was a bit messy. I think given time, once he gets, knows the players a bit better, hopefully he can put some performance on the pitch and hopefully score some goals. But I think, it's probably a good move for him. He's going to get regular game time at Wigan as long as he stays fit. So I think it's best for all parties.
Yeah, and then just sort of staying on the theme of attacking midfielders, another connection between the two sides. Kieran Dowles had a loan spell with you guys in the season. You went down, but he was very prolific in terms of scoring goals. He's recently picked up with Norwich 2 goals away at Preston, 1 against Coventry, and obviously 1 as well last night against Hull. I just want to sort of get your thoughts on one, his sort of spell at Wigan, and maybe sort of the qualities that he has, and he's sort of a player that maybe you fear on Saturday.
I do fear him. I think he's an excellent player. As you say, the season when Wigan went down, he was banging in goals. But I can't really say that I'm too concerned about him as a whole for Norwich. I think the whole of the attacking force of Norwich you've got to look at. It's going to be a tough 90 minutes to keep them all quiet, let alone, keeping one quiet is bad enough. But yeah, no, I've got full respect for him. He done Wigan proud, and hopefully he'll do well for you for the remainder of the season as well.
Yeah, before we get your thoughts on the game and score prediction, just sort of staying on the theme of Norwich, you've seen a few of our games, I believe, this season. Mm-hmm. So also just want to sort of get your take on Norwich and what you've seen. Have you maybe sort of been a little bit surprised they've been as disappointing as they've been in terms of where they are in the table, or maybe did you kind of expect that might be where they'd be?
Sure, I didn't expect there to be so many clubs still in with a chance of promotion. I know the Championship is a very, very tough league, but it's so open this year. And I don't know, I kind of predicted sort of maybe 8 teams pushing for top 2 or top 6. But I did think a bit more of Norwich. But again, they're still in with a very good shout of promotion. They've got a lot of depth in that team. From what I guess this new manager, Wagner, I think that change was certainly needed. I think, as a well, I've got a soft spot for Norwich, you know that, and I hope they do the job this season and go up, deserve it.
And good fans. Yeah, let's see. The next three games for Norwich feel pretty crucial starting with this game. So yeah, just want to get your thoughts on the game as a Wigan fan. Are you feeling optimistic? Can you keep this sort of little bit of a run you've got going sustained, or do you fear that Norwich might be a little bit too much?
Well, let's firstly hope tonight that we can do the job at Bristol. If we go into that game with 7 points out of 9 with Maloney, I mean, there's no reason why Wigan can't get anything from Norwich. Even if tonight's game doesn't go to plan, I think that Huddersfield win at home will mean a lot to them players and fans. I think from minute one, the fans will be behind them, which will be a big factor. But I think as Norwich have got a lot to prove themselves, and away from home they've been looking quite good. So it will be an interesting game. I'll happily take a point, but I do fear that you might actually get the better of Wigan. Yeah,
I'm going to just put you on the spot for a score prediction for this one. You said a draw there that you take. What sort of draw do you see? A Desmond 2-2 or a 0-0?
I think there'll be a couple of goals in there. I'll go for a 1-1. That's what my heart's saying. I'll take a 1-1, but I think maybe you might sneak it 1, maybe even 2-0.
There we go. That will round off this week's edition of Terrace Talk. Thank you, Ben, for joining me. Looking forward to the long trip to the DW. Fingers crossed for Norwich City's sake. This feels like the start of a pretty big run of games if they are going to sort of keep him within touching distance of those playoff places, or if they probably don't pick up enough points from the next 3, then it probably feels that it's going to be more of a mid-table rebuild job. We're going to be at the DW on Saturday, so all the latest sort of news and team news will be ahead of that one. Will be with David Wagner tomorrow evening. It's a 5 p.m. press conference. So that will be up across our YouTube channels. It'll be 5 o'clock by the time you're watching it, because this will be going up on Thursday morning. Chris Sutton's latest column is also up on the Pink and Plus app. If you're not a Pink and Plus subscriber, then free trial, $1.99 a month thereafter. So that's well worth taking a look. And with that, we'll round off the show. The long trip to Wigan faces us. Wigan kebab, they're supposed to be quite popular up in Wigan, aren't they?
You have to give one a go. We'll try one on Saturday evening. How's that?
I can. We'll take that. That will be something to look forward to in probably the cold and dark depths of Wigan on Saturday evening. Thanks for joining us.